Welcome to another one of my live stream lectures. And before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my channel. And with that being said, let's get on down to today's lecture, which is there are so many reasons. There are so many reasons to have a W-2 job, or so many good reasons of the value of having a W-2 job or having a W-2 job. And I'm not, and I cannot stress this enough, people. I fully retired September of 2023. So September this year made 3 full years that I've been in full retirement. I'm a retired veteran. I also retired from state government in North Carolina. So, for the rest of my life, as long as God gives me breath, because with my military retirement, with my state government retirement, without even counting Social Security, I will get a pension, 2 different pensions, in addition to medical benefits from the VA in the state of North Carolina for the rest of my life. And that is one powerful benefit of having a W-2 job. I don't care if it's working for a hospital or a county, state, military, VA, a W-2 job that comes with benefits, 401 retirement, medical. So when you retire, they calculate your pension. With my retirement plans from both ends, from state government and VA, I don't ever see a medical bill. Those are powerful benefits, people, in retirement. And you can retire at any age as long as you got time in, based on the retirement guidelines of that stakeholder you're working for. I've known people to retire in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Bottom line, the caveat, the most powerful benefit when you get in with these W-2 jobs, you're paying into your 401 stock options, you're building your retirement, you earn PTO, vacation, all of that. This is real talk. And we need to understand that and wrap our mind around that. Individuals who, just make a living off the gig economy or 1099s, understand, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose. But if you're basing your livelihood just doing gigs and 1099s, understand with that gig economy comes no 401, comes no retirement, comes no medical benefits, comes no pension, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. And I'm telling you, I know people right now in my age category who just spent 20, 30, 40 years just, working under the table or side jobs or, under the table money where you just getting money with no benefits. Gig work is no new concept. People as far back as your parents and grandparents always had other ways of making money outside of their day job. Rather it was doing hair or cutting grass. It's still gig work, but they just call it side jobs. But I say this to say that there is power. Prior to me retiring in September of 2023, I have worked 41 years of my adult life in this workforce, people. Rather it was military, rather it was state government, rather it was corporate America. Bottom line, a combination of 41 years of my life, all the way up until September of 2023. And I tell anybody, there's no perfect job, people. There's no perfect job. Because you take you wherever you go. Rather it's a corporate job, rather it's a nonprofit job, or any job. There is no such thing perfect job. Throughout my journey, in retrospect, looking at my 41 years of working in the workforce, all the way up to a young woman, all the way up until I fully retired at the age of 59. Throughout that journey, rural, I understood early on as a young woman that you take yourself no matter where you go. I don't care if you go to a different job or go to a different department or transfer at a different company, you take you wherever you go. You're gonna have supervisors, you're gonna have co-workers, you're gonna have management to answer to, you're gonna have HR policies and procedures that you gotta abide by on any job. So what I discovered over the years, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, all the way up until I retired, September of 2023, even when I was in the military as a very young woman, I understood in order to survive in the workforce, and I always have mastered this skill. I mastered the skill in terms of moving in silence. I will listen. I was in management and going to a lot of management meetings, working my way up the ranks in various different capacities. And what I learned is you have to have the emotional maturity to speak when you need to speak, but use silence as power at the same time. People, it's a balance, and that basically helped me navigate my 41 plus years in the workforce, because there's no perfect job. You're going to always be up against stuff. Trust me, I was up against a lot of things, and I had to navigate and use my emotional maturity and skills to navigate 41 plus years in the workforce, people. Make no mistake about that. And it took skill to do that. But at the same time, I knew there's no perfect job, but I understood and knew the power of, I embraced the mindset throughout my 41 years in the workforce where I viewed that employer, rather it was military, rather it was corporate America, rather it was state government, I stepped up to the plate and viewed that employer as a business partnership. There you go. And I kept my personal life separate from the workforce. Real talk, no matter where I went. I had the mindset all the way up until I retired, September of 2023. This employer, even when I was in the military, this employer, I view it as a business partnership. They are paying me to perform the essential functions of my job. I am going to make sure that I abide by HR policies and procedure. When it's in the military, it's a uniform code of conduct, or rather it was corporate America, HR policy. I approached it like a business relationship versus a family. Because on these jobs, a lot of times, because people run their mouth so much on these jobs and have that mindset, we all family, and doing all that personal self-disclosing, that's when things get messy. That's when personalities get in the way, versus if you have the mindset, I'm going to approach this job and approach this employer like a business partnership, because in reality, people, it is a business. In reality, by evidence, at the end of the year, you get your 1099 from that employer to file your business taxes. By evidence is a business, violate HR policies and procedures, then you can get written up all the way up to termination. It's a business, people. So in knowing that, I knew going in at a very young age to approach employers with that business mindset, and that gave me the skills to navigate through my 41 years of working in the workforce at various capacities, at military capacity, corporate America, nonprofit, different ranks, different positions. I had to navigate people. I had to navigate and use the skills all the way up until I retired, with full benefits from the military, with full benefits from state of North Carolina, multiple pensions hit me for the rest of my life, medical benefits. I ain't got to worry about nothing medical. And that's a powerful caveat to understand the importance of the W-2 job, getting that longevity in, building your 401, building your financial portfolio. So when you do get ready to retire, then you'll have that pension and benefits waiting for you when you get ready to retire. Because based on the type of retirement plan that the employer has. Everybody retirement plans, in terms of when they're eligible to retire, is driven by that employer. I tell anybody, the state of North Carolina, because I retired also from the state of North Carolina in September of 2023, and I tell anybody, their retirement package, people, is top notch. It's up there. It's better than the military. I didn't realize that until I retired from the state of North Carolina. State of North Carolina retirement benefits so doggone powerful, and pension plan and medical is unheard. It's something I've never seen before. Meaning my money in my state of North Carolina retirement plan would never run out. The money would never run out. They got built into their pension plan for the state of North Carolina. When I'm dead and gone, my pension will go to my daughter for the rest of her life. The money will never run out. That's power. Military ain't even that good. But that validates the power of W-2 jobs. When you're going into these jobs, you're treating it like a business relationship, a business partnership versus a family. No, your family is your family at home. Your mother, father, sister, brother, your significant others. Your job, I approach it from a business partnership because it is a business. And I approach it as I was building my time, building my financial portfolio, setting the stage. So when I do get ready to exit up out of this workforce, which I did forever, September of 2023, I got my retirement package sitting there waiting on me, and money hitting me for the rest of my life. That's power, people. And, don't believe the myth. Don't believe the myth that everybody's struggling. And I always had a conversation with someone I know that who works in HR, and I see it for myself. I have never, and it became more visible during COVID, when COVID was over. I have never in my adult life seen so many career jobs, so many good jobs with companies so plentiful in all my life, because people don't want to work anymore. And I'm talking about historically jobs that was untouchable, several years ago, now are just looking for people. Hospitals are hospital jobs, post office jobs, PA jobs, any kind of job that you can think of that is a reputable company. They are hungry for people. And I know a lot of people who work in HR, and they literally have told me they can't find nobody to work. These folks, or if they do find somebody who get the job, they come into the job, don't want to listen to nobody, don't want to follow the HR policies and procedures. You got to start somewhere. And, and I will be forever grateful for God giving me the wisdom as a very, very, very young woman in my early 20s, when I really understood, the power of W-2 jobs. I knew the decisions I made way back then in my early 20s, even before I joined the military. The decisions I made in my 20s had a positive impact on when I hit my 30s. The decisions I made in my 30s had a positive, powerful impact on me in my 40s. The decisions I made in my 40s had a powerful impact where it set the stage for me to fully retire at the age of 59 with multiple retirement pensions hitting me, people, for the rest of my life. I would never have to work again for the rest of my life. But that don't stop me from utilizing my professional credentials as a licensed clinical addiction expert to still generate money in retirement under my credential. Because I always simultaneously, my last 25 years of working in the workforce before I retired September of 2023. But my last 25 years of working as an adult, simultaneously, I created my company, Paris and Associates Resource Center. My company is 25 plus years strong. So my last 25 years of working in the workforce, I was going to work every day, working in my W-2 job, but I was simultaneously developing and cultivating and nurturing my company, where I was generating revenue, significant revenue under my company for the past 25 years, utilizing my clinical license, simultaneously going to work every day. So when I retired September of 2023, I'm still making money under my company utilizing my credential, because it's my credential, not the job credential. I answer to a credentialing board. So I say that to say that you can still develop your own LLC. You can still generate revenue outside of your day job simultaneously, because remember, you're building also your financial security on that W-2 job, but while you simultaneously, you can still develop and cultivate and nurture your own stuff outside of that job. But I'm gonna say one thing: all that last 25 years in the workforce, I tell you one thing: I on my day job, I didn't go to work blabbing my mouth talking about all of this money I'm making under my company. No, I moved in silence, people. I kept my mouth shut on those day jobs. My company, Paris and Associates Resource Center, had nothing to do with my role and function on my day job. I kept it separate and distinct. But what a lot of people do, what they'll do if they got see or making money under their own brand and still got a W-2 job simultaneously, what they do is go on that day job, running their mouth, talking about I'm making this, I'm making that, and what that does is it brings attention to yourself. What that does is you're setting the stage where your supervisor may pull you in the office one day, and I notice that you're late on certain assignments or certain reports. You seem to have a problem with job performance, or I notice we're 2 minutes late one time out of the week. And who's to say that talking to you in that supervisor office might not been motivated, because that supervisor could have been very jealous of you when you running your mouth talking about how much money you making under your side company. So, like I said, my last 25 years of working in the workforce, I developed and cultivated and nurtured my company, my LLC. And so when I fully retired in September of 2023, my company brand is already out there. I'm still making money utilizing my credential, but at the same time, in the flip side, I also understood the power of the benefits of that W-2 job, where I was building my financial portfolio, building my retirement, and my pensions and medical benefits will follow me for the rest of my life. So, and people need to hear that. You really do need to hear that. And like I was saying, I have never in my adult life seen so much opportunity from a career standpoint, from a job standpoint, from organizations, people across the board, for real. But still, you got to do your part. Still, you got to listen to supervisors. Still, you got to be to work on time. Still, you got to abide by policies and procedures. Since I've been in retirement, I can't tell you, and I cannot tell you the amount of opportunities that have came my way in terms of with employers, because of the credentials I have, offering me positions, and I literally have to decline because I've paid my dues of working full-time in the workforce for 41 years of my adult life, rising up the ranks, playing the game, and etc. But I had the skills to be able to do that by doing a lot of listening, moving in silence, and when I spoke, it was something of relevance, real talk. I stayed away from the gossip. I did not entertain gossip throughout my 41 years in the workforce in any shape, form, or fashion. I most importantly moved in silence. I can remember when I was working with state government, retired from state government after about 17 years, state of North Carolina, a part of the management team. And I would mainly, if I didn't have anything to say in those management meetings, I would mainly just listen. and I will observe. That's all I would do, just listen and observe. If I had something to speak on in relation to the agenda of the management meeting, I spoke and became silent. And it was a particular, one of the nursing directors was a part of that management team. We had been going to those management meetings for months. And I remember one particular day at the end of the management meeting, we walked out together, and she asked me, as we were walking out together, she literally said, "Do you know who Holiday is? I want to know who this Holiday is, because everybody keep talking about in regards how, know her stuff clinically, know policy and procedure, on top of her game. Who is she? Do you know who Holiday is?" And I'm looking at her like, "I'm Holiday." "What do you mean, who is Holiday?" She said, oh, you're Holiday. I didn't even know you were Holiday, even though we had been going to these management meetings, the same management meetings for months. She would sometimes sit across from me for months, but the reason why she did say she really didn't know who I was, because I will always be so quiet in those meetings, quiet as a mouse. She said, "You be so quiet sometimes, I forget you're there." And that's the power, people, of being able to listen and keep your mouth shut. And I wasn't just listening and keeping my mouth shut. I will also observe people nonverbal in those meetings. I knew the ones who were in the clique together just by observing nonverbal. I observed and I listened, and I did a lot of listening, to the point where here you got a nursing director who's going to the same management meeting that I went to every month for several months, and I would be so quiet, she would forget that I was literally in that meeting, and not just in the same meeting she was in, sitting literally right next to her. That is how you move, people, in these workforces. You want to move like that chameleon. You want to also be able to hear you want to be able to hear what's not being said, and you want to be able to see what's not being shown by observing non-language and non-verbal body language. And that's how I moved the whole 41 years in a row. And that helped me too, in terms of to stay out of the mess, stay out of the drama, real talk. So again, I want to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my channel. I want to appreciate everyone who's listening in on this live stream. Anyone who's been on my channel enough to know I'm going to acknowledge my individuals who's in this live stream. I'm going to thank you for that. I don't go back and forth responding to in the chat. That slows my deliverance down. But I really do appreciate everybody chiming in. Share this information in regards to, there's so much value, people, so many benefits in having a W-2 job. Your older self will thank you. Your older self will thank you when you get to that point at any age. You can retire at any age based on your package, but your older self will thank you. My older self really do thank my younger self when I was in my early 20s. When I was in my 30s, my 30th self thanked my 20th self, and on and on. I thank my younger self right now today for the decisions that I made as a very, very young woman, that has a direct impact on the here and now, where anytime I go to any kind of doctor's appointments, or if I have to any kind of blood work, x-rays, lab work, your routine physicals that you have to get, your mammograms and all that maintenance medical stuff that we have to all have to ensure that we remain healthy. I thank my younger self right now, because I never see a bill, people. I never see a bill. Rather, my VA card pays for my VA health, or my state retirement medical, or my VA medical. Right now today, I never see a bill. I never see a hospital bill, because there are people right now in their 20s, their 30s, in their 40s, and older. Because of medical expenses, it has created financial disruption. So my older self, I want to thank Marie Holiday at a very young age for all of those decisions I made in gathering the wisdom and the skills to be able to navigate in this workforce for 41 years of my adult life at many capacities, at the military capacity, corporate America capacity, nonprofit capacity, state government capacity. I use those skills, people, at a very young age, and it saved me. It really did. So that's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.